Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a lifelike Michael Myers doll. First you get this mannequin at the Halloween store, just a dummy body shape, and about $60. This is a rocker black hair wig that I picked up at the Halloween store, and this is the key, the face mask, Halloween 2 face mask. If I had my choice I probably would have gotten the light brown wig instead of the dark black wig, but they didn't have one at the store at the time. But follow my instructions and you'll see how to put this whole mannequin together. Here I'm going to show you the blueprints that I used to put this whole thing together with PVC. It's a PVC skeleton, and here's a quick shot of the basic blueprints, and this is how it was made. I first started by gluing the wig and the mask onto the dummy's head, and I used Gorilla Glue, and then I gave it a really good haircut to make it look like the original. I'm going to start by cutting both of the legs off because the dummy that I bought at the Halloween store was a little bit too short. So I'm going to start to measure each leg and get the feet going. So I have a big knife here that I'm cutting out some holes in the feet, and what I'm going to do is just put some stabilizing PVC into the feet so it prevents them from turning and rotating when I put the feet inside the shoe. You'll see that later, but needless to say I have to cut out like a rectangle out of the bottom of each foot, insert that little PVC elbow, and then give myself some type of a stabilizer joint. So I'm going to cut it also so that it's just sticking out of the top of the foot just a little bit, and when I put the foot in the shoe it will stabilize that foot to help the whole body actually stabilize. So you can see I'm putting a full PVC tube down into the leg, which I'll be able to cut down in just a minute, and cut off right above the foot and leave me a little extra sticking out of the top of the foot. Alright, now I'm measuring to see how long the knee needs to be. That's about how long my knee is. So drill a hole in the top of the PVC tube, and I have a couple of metal brackets you see on his chest right there that I'm going to put one on each side of the PVC tube. Use these little twist screws to spin it down and put two little brackets on each side, and then this next PVC tube will be like the upper part of the leg, and I'll use a couple of, what are those called, some type of I can't remember the name of those things. The metal round things that secure stuff by screwing it together. It'll come to me in a minute, but you can see how this works as a joint now, so I can bend it and hinge it. There you go. So I did that to both legs, and now I'm measuring the hips, so to see where the tops of the hips go, so I can cut those off and have about the appropriate size length of a leg with a knee bend in the middle. And I cut those off, and you can probably see where I'm going next, going up a little bit into a T-joint and going across, making sure that I have a way to go up on the elbow joint. Pound everything in place, but I'm not gluing anything, as you might notice, because I want everything to kind of move around a little bit too. When I get these pieces lined up exactly how I want them to, I'll cut those sections and be able to put the bottom part of the legs and hip areas together. And you see, after this, the way I'm going to prevent that from slipping out from the sides is I'm going to drill some holes through the sides of those two elbows and put that metal stabilizing rod through the whole thing, and just screw some twist bolts on the sides of that metal rod. I think it's a 1/4 inch threaded metal rod. See, I'm feeding it all the way through, and when I tighten these little twist screws on the ends, it'll prevent those PVC tubes from slipping side to side. Alright, on to the top part. Got my killer knife back again, but there's a cardboard cylinder that's in the middle of this dummy, and I'm putting some holes on the sides of it right where the shoulders and arms are going to be, because from there I need to put a cross PVC. You can see that on the bottom of the screen. That's gonna lay just like that. So there's gonna be part of it going up into the head and part of it going down all the way into the center part of the hips. All right, so every once in a while I just kind of lay it out to see exactly where I'm gonna be going and try to refer back to the original drawing if you want to get an idea. Not doing any precise measuring here, I'm just kind of ballparking it based on the size of the dummy that I have, but that's the width of the shoulders, and you can see now that everything's going to come together where there's going to be 3 stabilizing rods going down the center of the body, and then coming out the side of those 2 T's by the shoulders, we're going to have the arms. So that's what I'm just putting those elbows in to come down into the arms, and we're going to do the arm bends just like the leg bends. So it's important now to do this right, the timing right. So I have to start now with the center rod before I put anything together, and then I have to go through to get each of these shoulder blades, as you might call them, in there. You know, eventually I'm going to wind up cutting the arms off, and I probably didn't know I was going to do that until the end, but I would have made my life a lot easier just cutting the arms off just like I did the legs, and make it easier to go through this whole part. But I didn't know that at the time. You can see now I'm just pounding these 3 vertical stabilizing tubes into the top part, and then we're going to cut them off at the hip level. After I kind of using this as a gauge to see, and I'm marking with a black marker to see how tall the hips need to be, and then just gonna kind of eyeball it to see where I need to make my cuts. Turns out the middle one is right up against this cardboard tubing, so I have to cut that away and cut the scraps off. Alright, so I'll cut off each of these 3 tubes, and then it wasn't easy, a little tricky, you'll see, to try to get all of them to line up and fit into those 3 lower inserts. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time just trying to get that in there, and then let me start tidying some things up a bit. Ultimately, if I were to do this all over again, I made that upper torso section a little bit too wide. It's a little bit too wide in the hip area and also in the shoulder area. So if I could do that all over again, which I may in the future, I may do that again. Just narrow it a little bit, a couple inches on the top and bottom. Taking just a plain stapler and stapling the parts of the dummy that were sewn together that I just wanted to get back together so the stuffing doesn't keep falling out. And just like I did that metal stabilizing rod in the hip area, I did one in the shoulder area as well. I'm going to put just some screws to twist and tighten. I really had to tighten them quite a bit, and that's because I don't want those shoulders or arms or anything to fall off to the side at all. Alright, so you can see me now cutting the arms off. I already completed the arm on the left side, but I'm doing the video of the arm on the right side. The arms and the hands have a nice little hole in them where the tube fits right in there, measuring how long the elbow should be, and doing basically the same thing that you saw me do for that leg, drilling a hole through the center, and those 2 metal brackets will be screwed on the side, and then the bulk of the bracket is going to be just cable tied, or I can't think of the name of those round brackets. I guess they're just stainless steel hose clamps. That's what they are. Hose clamps. So I'll screw them down nice and tight, and it'll give me that joint that I'm looking for. And then I just have to give a ballpark measurement of how long the upper part of the arm is going to be, as you can see as the completed one on the left side. You also see on my I laid out the outfit on the left there too, so My outfit is an extra large coverall, and I got that on Amazon. It cost maybe about $30. If I were to do it again, I would probably get a large instead of an extra large because it turned out to be a little bit too baggy, and not much, just a little bit. And I would do what I said to you earlier. I would narrow those hips and shoulders a little bit as well, because it looks like in the end is a little bit too large. That's my daughter dressed as a cow who's coming in to help me put the clothing coveralls on. So all of our PVC tubes are in place and we're almost finished here. We just gotta get the coveralls on, and then I will take just some recycled plastic bags and some stuffing and kind of fill in some of the gaps of the coveralls. I'll also put the shoes on next after I have the coveralls on. So you see me really tightly tying these shoes. I want to get them to the point where the feet can be stable as much as possible, and this helps the Michael Myers mannequin stand up and be able to hold that position. Okay, so there it is. That's how you make it. Follow the guidelines that you see on that piece of paper as far as the PVC skeleton, but pretty much that's about it.